Or if you were out on the golf course right now, you'd probably be hoping not to get hit by a flying object. Most of you are probably assuming that I'm talking about golf with a little white ball. However, I'm referring to the comparatively new sport called disc golf. I've been playing disc golf since I was about 12 years old, and I've recently taken it a lot more seriously and had a lot of fun doing so. I'm going to be informing you about the rules of disc golf, the equipment that it's used while playing disc golf, the types of throws that can be used, and keeping track of the score. First thing I'm going to go over is the rules of the game. The idea of disc golf is to get your disc in the basket in the fewest amount of throws as possible. A few of the standard rules is they usually play stroke play, which is every throw counts as one stroke. And that's the most common way the game's played. You can also play with foursomes or play best throw. There's no disc limit to how many discs that you can have while you're out there playing, unlike regular golf that has a 14 club limit. The boundaries or out of bounds are generally fences or water, and there's two types of water. There's natural water, which would be like lakes or streams or rivers, and then there's casual water caused by floods, which we've had a lot of problems with lately. The order of play in the game is generally the first person on the scorecard, and then from thereafter it's whoever got the best throw on the previous hole. When teeing off, you can take a running start to your throw before you get to the tee pad, and you can follow through past the pad as long as you've thrown the disc before all your supporting points have left the tee pad. A little bit about golf etiquette. The basic considerations of etiquette are things such as concern to the spectators and other players, and also respect for the plant life on the course. And when you're teeing off, you got to make sure that all the other players are out of your range that you can throw and out of the way so you don't hit them. You'll want to try to avoid distracting noises or visual distractions while anyone else is throwing, just out of common courtesy. When taking course design into play, the first thing that you're going to see when you get to the golf course, the disc golf course, are the tee signs. There should be a tee sign at each of the tees for each hole. That'll have the number for the hole, it'll have the length of the hole in feet, and it'll also have a few obstacles that you might have to go around on the hole. You'll also see the tee pad close to the tee sign. That'll be about a 3x8 slab of concrete that you can use to tee off from. And then at the end of the hole, your objective is to get your disc into the disc basket. And the next thing I'm going to be talking about are the discs themselves. There's quite a few brands that make discs. There's the Innova, which is one of the most popular, and also Discraft, which is, I would say, the two most popular brands out there right now. A few types of discs are drivers, which are your longest range throw, fairway drivers, which are a little bit shorter, and then mid-range drivers, which have a little bit more of a lip on them. And then there's your putters, which have quite a lip for your final putt. Each disc is associated in Innova with 3 numbers. I chose Innova to talk about because they're the disc that I have the most of and I'm most familiar with. The numbers that are associated with the Innova discs are, one of them is the speed, and that's how fast the discs will be thrown when you throw them all at the same velocity. Glide is the next number, which is how long the disc will float through the air after it's thrown. High speed turn is generally the disc will turn right on the high speed. The higher the number, the higher it'll turn. And then there's low speed fade, which was at the end of the throw where it'll start to fade back to the left. The thing about the plastics, Innova has 4 or more than 4 types of plastics that they have. Their first is the DX plastic, and that's just their most affordable type of plastic. It's a great beginner disc. It does get worn down the fastest, but it still keeps its properties pretty well with a little wear and tear. The next is the Pro line of plastic, which stands up a little bit better than the DX plastic, but it's only a little bit more expensive. The next is the Champion plastic, which holds up even better than the Pro plastic, and it's sometimes called the candy plastic because it's usually pretty see-through. Their newest plastic is the Star plastic, And the Star Plastic is just as durable as the Champion plastic, but it's also a lot grippier when you're throwing it. A few of the random plastics are the glow-in-the-dark plastic, which Discraft also makes some of, Discraft and Innova do. And the float discs that float in the water, I have the Dragon and Hydra here that both float in water if you happen to go over to a water hazard that you think you might hit. Next thing I'll talk about is the stability of the discs. There are discs that are supposed to fly straight when thrown perfectly level. A lot of discs, though, are overstable, which at the end of its flight will fall to the left. And then there are understable drivers, which when thrown correctly will fall to the right. There's quite a few bags out there that you can buy. Innova has quite a few bags out there. There's a starter bag, which has a beverage holder. It holds about 6 to 8 discs, and it's a good starter bag. And then there's a standard bag, that's what this is here. It's got a putter pocket. It holds 10 to 12 discs in it, and it also has the beverage and a few other compartments on the sides. There's also the competition bag, which has a putter pouch, a mini disc pouch, and holds 15 to 20 discs on the inside with the beverage holder and the extra pockets. The next thing that I'm talking to you about in disc golf is the throwing styles. A few throws that you can use that are most common are the backhand throw, which is great for beginners. It's just your backhand throw. And then there's a forehand throw, which is also called sidearm or flick. It'll be over to the side. When released, will generally go to the right. There's a roller, which when you throw it, the object of it is trying to either land on its side, so it'll roll a majority of your distance to your pin. And then lastly is the tomahawk or hammer throw, which is thrown overhead and has a strange flight pattern. It'll go to the right and then fall back to the left at the end of its flight. Some disc features are, that I'm going to talk about are the thumb track, which is this inside track here. The dome, which is the top. Some are flatter than others, some are domed up quite a bit. The average weight is between 150 and 180 grams, but putters can be up to 200 grams, but anything that high is pretty uncommon. The diameter size is usually between 21 and 24 centimeters. The shot types that you use are going to be distance driving. That's generally what you're going to throw from the tee. That will be your furthest throw, most powerful also. Next will be your approach throw, which will generally be your second throw to the pin. And lastly, putting, which will be your last throw that you're trying to make it into the basket. There's many shot styles you can use with any disc. A few of them are right up here. You can throw straight, which is actually pretty tough to get your disc to go perfectly straight. A lot of people throw hyzer, maybe not quite to that extent, but they'll still fade off to the left at the end of the throw. And then there's anhyzer, which is a pretty difficult throw to learn, which curves off to the right at the end of its throw. Another throw that I learned about recently is the elevator shot, which is, I've heard, really tough to throw, but it's great for when you got an obstacle right in between you and the pin. It just goes up over the object and then can get it to drop right down in the basket. The last thing I'm going to be talking about today is scoring. Score is determined by counting the number of throws made on each hole, plus a penalty throw, and then adding all the holes together at the end. The winner is the player who completes the course with the lowest score. A few scoring terms I'm going to talk about are the ace, which is a hole-in-one. Pretty uncommon, but feels great when you get one. The next is the eagle, which is 2 under par. Birdie, which is 1 under par. Par, which is generally 3 throws on any given hole. Bogey was 1 over par, and double bogey is 2 over par. That's all I have for you today. Today I covered the rules of disc golf, the equipment used while playing disc golf, the types of throws that can be used in keeping track of score. It's a fun year-round sport that uses both mental and physical conditioning that can be played at day or night, and it's cheap because you only have to buy 1 disc and you can play as much as you want for free.